Hello everybody, welcome back. So we put out a video a couple of weeks ago and we explained that we had all this footage and it felt out of date now because it was like June, but I decided to just put in a load of stuff anyway, just make a little video out of it because ultimately this is for us and I really wanted to see the progression throughout the year. And so here it is. This is just going to show a few of the different little things we've been getting up to in the garden. So yeah, come along with us for a little April and May look at what we've been up to. So April and May were really quite glorious for weather. It was so lovely. All of a sudden the winter just sort of seemed to subside and the weather was just stunning and the kids were back outside again and the evenings were longer and it really filled up our cups and we felt very positive, as I think everyone does in the spring. Now it's July of me recording this voiceover and I'm still feeling positive, but it's definitely been a little bit more of a roller coaster, which I guess we'll get to in the next videos. But that being said, the garden has definitely been a place of refuge for me personally.
Bottom, and you kind of twist it. Because you want to get like this white bit with it as much as you can, otherwise we leave it in there and it kind of rots in the plant. Yeah. On the net.
Yeah!
Alright, so this is the squash and pumpkin bed. And we're just digging holes and putting manure in and then mixing the manure with the soil where each pumpkin and squash is going to be. At the end there's 3 smaller holes where the courgettes are going. On top of each hole will then be like a mound formed with some manure and compost and topsoil mixed in as well. That'll keep the plant kind of dry at the leaves, but it'll still have all this rich, moist, composted manure underneath. Some of the manure was fresh, but I've tried to separate out the stuff that's quite well rotted. It's quite full of worms. So once it's mixed up, I don't think it'll be too rich. We're also going to put the sunflowers in because they're going to like the same kind of manured soil. This was a no-dig bed, and I've needed to go in and weed it because where the moles come in and dug in quite a few places through the cardboard, and then the couch grass has kind of followed it up through the tunnel. So we've ended up with big patches of couch grass. So I've dug that out. So it's been a good time to do that anyway while I was digging these holes. I'm probably going to mulch the whole thing with a bit of manure as well. And then, yeah, it'll just be squash, sunflowers, pumpkins, courgettes. And I'm just going to dot salads in about. I put a spicy salad mix in a few weeks ago.
So, you might not know, but before we moved in, this was just a lawn. So we've done no-dig beds, as Jack mentioned, and the goal is to really just build up the soil, and it's going to take time. It isn't like a quick fix. You can't just dump a load of compost and expect for the best results. It's been stripped away, nothing's been really allowed to grow other than grass, it's been maintained, and as part of our job here as stewards of this land on a very temporary scale, we don't know how long we're going to be here, is to build it back up. You know, hopefully the next people that come to this house, if they're going to rent it, are going to want a garden, and they're going to come and they're going to find a load of beautiful dark soil that's been enriched with all of these things. So yeah, it will take us time, but it's stuff for the future, isn't it? It's a really nice way to look at it, I think. Teeny tiny sunflowers from the saved seed last year. What's going on?
I'm making a raised bed, but I'm just digging out the stones a bit. So I've scraped back the actual stones, dug down the subsoil, and then got all that. So I've got that out, and I've got a load of nice flat stones for my pond that you dug as well. Where you
Pond?
Yeah.
Where are you making a pond?
The pond over there, by the blackcurrant.
Oh.
Just a spot, it's wildlife.
In here?
Yeah, I saw a bird the other day using one of my tubs that I'd left out for a bird bath.
Uh-huh.
I thought it probably would be good wildlife-wise just to have a...
Just like a little one?
Yeah, just a small one. Things to drink out of it, maybe bath in it. maybe frogs and toads, but like nothing, not like a carp
Remember we
pond.
seen all those frogs by the bins last year? I was looking to see if I could see any. Couldn't see
They
any.
died out, didn't they?
Possibly. There's like no water
They died
anywhere.
out. You go see it as well if you want. It's just down there. Little pond. I'm just going to line it because I don't think that's going to hold. It's clay, but it's clay with gravel, so I don't think it's going to hold any water.
Yeah, you have to line it. Have you got anything to line it with?
No, I'll just get like a thick bit of plastic. Again, it's not like the best way of doing it, but we just want really a source of water that I think that's deep enough. It's not going to freeze all the way to the bottom in the middle of winter. There was also a hydrangea that was there that I needed to weed, and I've moved it to there. It's actually still got green on it, so.
Oh, cool.
Let's just fit some of that first time. So I've filled it all with topsoil, and then the top 6 to 8 inches I've mixed with compost and coir and bloodfish and bone, just so there's a bit of nutrients in it as well. But it is pretty much all just sieved topsoil that's in here. I'm just planting them in a block. I'm hoping most of them survive. I'm trying to put them a little bit deeper because they'll root from the bottom of the stem as well. So hopefully they've got a bit more anchorage against the wind. This is probably our best bet of actually growing sweet corn here, is against this south-facing wall. Out the wind in this like absolute babied little area we've created for them.
Little crib.
And one
crib.
shot.
So, they look like they're quite close together.
Maybe.
Is that just sort of so some...
Maybe they are a bit, like in an ideal world they'll be slightly further away, but I'm figuring they've got space around it. There's like nothing else around it.
Okay.
This is the space, these are the plants. If it looks like it's becoming a problem, then we'll move them. But I don't. The thing with corn is you want them close enough that they can pollinate each other in the wind. So I don't think the spacing's that obscene. I also have never grown this variety, so it's hard to gauge. It's not a short dwarf variety like I've usually tried in the last few years.
You mentioned they've got to be close to pollinate each other. Does that mean that some are like male and some are female? How does it work?
No, they all have both bits.
Yeah.
The female part is the cob.
Uh-huh.
And the male part is the tassely bit on the top.
Oh, okay.
And they're wind pollinated, so they're not pollinated by insects.
Okay.
So they need to be. That's why it's better to kind of they say it's better to plant it in like a block rather than a row.
Yeah, the grid.
Because what happens if those cobs or if the pollen doesn't get to those bits properly, you end up with like really patchy corn or none at all. So a pollen grain has to go into each individual one, and then you get like a kernel. Is that the word for an individual one? So each kind of kernel has to be fertilized.
Oh.
So that's why it's better to come do them in a square if you can. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. It's not even funny.
Floki's been digging in the bottom of the carrot and beetroot bed, haven't you, Floki?
Not even a dog that really enjoys a dig ever. Nothing grandiose, it's really just so the birds and insects have something to drink from. So it's quite a small little pond here. It's not even a meter across. So the first step here is to basically finish digging it all out. So I'm just laying the liner in. So we're back the next day, it all held up, no leaks, so we're good to go. So what you'll notice is I've dug a kind of lip this time, and that's what the pond liner is going to sit in. Then it's just a case of sticking in the pond liner and then weighing it down with some rocks. It just means if anything falls in, it can get back out. And then just to the right, kind of towards the wall, I'm going to make sure the pond's lower, so if it does overfill, it's going to drain out into that section. And that's pretty much us there. Nothing fancy, but it's going to do the job. It's not going to win any awards. Also stuck a few ladies' mantle in on this bank here to help secure some of the loose soil. And part of the scaly male fern that got dug out has been rehomed elsewhere.
I'm really loving that little pond that Jack built. I think it's super cute. Right now, I will show it in one of the next videos, but it's just like a really beautiful shady little place, and I think if I was a bird, that's exactly where I'd want to go and sit and have a little rest. Anyway, how cute. My little girl likes to leave little offerings for the fairies, so she like makes little bundles of flowers, or she leaves little like jugs of milk and things like that out as offerings for the fairies, and I just think that is so beautiful, and it's so up my street. Sometimes they leave things back for her, which is very, very nice of them, usually when they have capacity and they remember. Another thing I wanted to touch on, because I feel like this is probably relevant to a lot of people, is the feeling of like guilt that you get when you feel like you haven't been in the garden enough, or you haven't stuck to the plan that you made in spring when you were full of beans. And I just wanted to say, like, any time spent in the garden, even if you're just pottering around and doing little tiny jobs, is time well spent. And I've had to work on myself a lot over the years on this feeling of guilt and feeling like I'm not doing it enough. And just remember, you know, your frame of reference and where you're coming from, and everyone's busy, right? Even if you don't have children, everyone is like busy. If you're working, you've got loads of stuff on, you have all these responsibilities. One of the first things to go is the garden and is your hobbies and passions and things like that. And I know this all too well, and it's just really worth just giving yourself the grace to get back into it, and just, I know it's easier said than done, but just try not to feel guilty about it, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth you feeling negative. Just take every single minute spent outside as a win. So right now I made this little willow structure. I went and harvested some willow from somewhere. There was loads growing and I didn't like damage any plants. And we made this little structure because I wanted to grow sweet peas up it. I love sweet peas. I love the mixed colours in them. And so Jack grew me a load of sweet peas. And I made this structure and then we planted them out when they were this size. And as I'm looking outside my window right now, they're doing really fantastically, and I will show that in one of the next videos. And they just smell so incredible. So it was something that felt a little bit more indulgent, you know, it's something we can't eat, but I think in your garden, you're allowed to go for stuff that just looks lovely. Although I've never understood gardens that only have flowers in. I've always thought, why would you not grow something? Because even that stuff looks lovely. You know, the raspberry bushes to me look gorgeous when they start to come in, and you know, some flowers you can eat the seeds of them, and yeah, all the onions right now in our garden are flowering and they just look beautiful and sort of strange and alien. Borage as well is another beautiful one. Marigolds, nasturtium, things you could just pick and put in your salads. I think they're also beautiful. But you're also allowed to just have some indulgent stuff. So for me that year, that was the sweet peas, because it really does make me happy when I can pick a load and put them in the kitchen, and when I'm doing the washing up I can just look and smell the garden still, even though I'm forced inside. One thing that I don't think I've shown much of in videos is sort of more of the home side of things, and so much of my life is that. When Jack takes over the garden, often I am more tethered to the practical side of looking after the home, and even though I work now as well and we share things a lot quite equally, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be done. We need to bake, we need to cook, we need to have all of these things, and I'm definitely not perfect when it comes to this at all, but I really do try and enjoy it as much as I can. And it was really nice in May time because the weather was so beautiful. We had so many little barbecues outside like this, and I keep thinking, oh, I need to get a bigger barbecue, but you know what? This tiny little barbecue has been absolutely perfect. And I keep thinking, I actually don't need a big one. This is totally fine. I just sit cross-legged and get on with it, and it's really, really fun. However, the rain did eventually come, as you can see here, and it'd been so long that heavy rain to my kids, it made them go feral. It was the funniest, sweetest thing. So yeah, that's pretty much what we've got to share for our April and May. Definitely trials were had during the summer. We've had trials, there's things that we will do differently, but it is what it is part of it. All of it's a success in my opinion. Just doing it, even if it fails, at least you did it. And on that note, thank you for watching. It's really hard to know what to do and say in these videos, but again, this is for us, so anyone watching, it is just a bonus. So yeah, anyway, how beautiful these blossoms. I'm so glad we were able to play in them for an evening, because they're only around for a very, very finite time, and that's just the story of life, isn't it? So anyway, till next time, bye.